Hey everybody. So when I was a kid, when I was born, my parents were hippies. And my dad had long hair, a long beard. They had a head shop called Tree Beard Galleries in Kentucky. And he was basically Jesus, if Jesus was smoking out of a roach clip and drinking beer out of a keg in the bathroom at their wedding. But being a hippie didn't provide health care, so he joined the Army. And on his way to becoming a drill sergeant, which was a big change from what we started as, we would visit my grandparents in Kentucky, and they would take us to church with them. And my grandfather helped build this church. So he actually put bricks in the building, and basically the church had grown up with him because he was older when he founded this church when he founded it. And this was a holiness church. So we would go visit my grandparents, and Brother Webb would be up on stage. And Brother Webb, there was a band, and they would play music and get excited, and people were speaking in tongues and on their knees and on the pews. I wouldn't be surprised if some nights snakes came out, which would have been scary for a little kid, but maybe not as scary as what we were sitting in and seeing in the church we were at. As people were doing this all around us, and my grandparents were sitting next to us, just calmly watching, like maybe they were in a Baptist church, not reacting, not doing anything, but leaning over where he used to go. Meanwhile, Brother Webb, I always wondered what he might look like if he was like in another job. Red-faced, and spitting and shaking. Get you on fries with that! How about a large soda? We don't pay credit cards! But who knows how he would have been. So, fast forward, my dad gets stationed on an army base in Georgia, and my dad is now, based on his upbringing with my grandparents, he feels obligated that we should be in church. He's a single father now, 3 kids. We're on a new army base, he's a drill sergeant, and we begin to what I now call church hop. And he was taking us to various churches, and if you're not familiar with military bases, many of them have different churches with different denominations. So on the same military base, you can find a Catholic church, a Methodist church, a Baptist church, whatever church. So my dad, the drill sergeant, and his 3 little kids around the military base and the community are going to different various churches. And we do not always fit in. So I remember going to a black church, and we were the only white people in the church. And it was a very different experience. Very excited, very musical at this particular church. Very spiritual, but we still felt just out of place because we just looked so different from everybody else. And I realized that I didn't feel that out of place because I remember sitting in the holiness church when they were speaking in tongues and going insane on the stage, and my grandparents leaning over and asking if I wanted a piece of gum. And so that wasn't our church. And we would hop around until my dad settled on one, I think that was just basically welcoming to everybody, and everybody was different. It was non-denominational. It was very vanilla. And I have to admit that every time we went to that church on Sunday, I felt kind of bored because I missed the snakes and the spit. And the music and the hollering. But that's what we did. We church hopped. And it was a good time. But now whenever we go back to visit my grandparents, we would go back to the church as we grew older. And everybody at the church would always say, oh my goodness, I remember when you were so little and you've grown up so much. And then we would have our kids with us and we would go into the church and we would freak them out. And I think I did just to freak them out too. So if you've never been to a different church, even if you're not religious, maybe go check it out. You might see something crazy like a snake. Thanks.